The clink of silverware and low hum of jazz filled the air at Maison Vert, one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. Inside, Thomas Gray sat alone at a white-clothed table near the window, staring blankly at the half-eaten steak on his plate. The food was exquisite, but his appetite had left him months ago, buried somewhere between million-dollar meetings and an empty penthouse. He motioned to the waiter, pushing the plate away. "Sir, shall I box it up?" the waiter asked politely. Thomas shook his head. "No. Just take it." But before the waiter could clear the dish, a soft, hesitant voice rose beside him. "May I have your leftovers, sir?" He turned, startled. A little girl stood next to his chair, her clothes worn, her shoes missing, and her dark hair tangled by the wind. She couldn't have been more than 9. But it was her eyes, deep, still, tired beyond her years, that froze him in place. She wasn't ashamed. Just hungry. Just there. The waiter immediately stepped forward, voice sharp. "You can't be in here." "Wait," Thomas interrupted, raising a hand. He looked back at her. She didn't look away. The restaurant seemed to pause, like the world had stopped spinning for just a second. "Are you hungry?" he asked. She nodded, not begging, just answering. And in that moment, something cracked open inside Thomas. Something buried. Something old. He didn't know her name. But he knew the feeling. Because once, long ago, Thomas couldn't look away from her. There was a calmness in the girl's eyes that didn't belong to someone her age. It wasn't defiant, nor desperate, it was the quiet look of someone used to being invisible. He gestured to the empty seat across from him. "Come. Sit." The waiter hesitated, clearly unsure what to do. "It's fine," Thomas said firmly. "Bring us 2 fresh plates." The little girl climbed onto the chair carefully, as if afraid it might disappear beneath her. She placed her hands in her lap and sat perfectly still, watching him. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Maya." "Nice to meet you, Maya." "I'm Thomas." A flicker of surprise crossed her face. No one had introduced themselves in a long time, he guessed. The waiter returned with fresh plates, awkwardly setting them down. Thomas cut the steak in half and passed her a portion. She waited a moment before picking up the fork, like she was waiting for permission. "You don't have to wait," he smiled. She took a bite, closed her eyes, and let out the faintest sigh of relief. As she ate, she talked in quiet snippets. Her mother was sick. They'd been staying at a shelter. She missed school a lot. There was no dad, just the 2 of them trying to survive. And then she looked at him and said, "You don't seem like a rich person." He blinked. "Why do you say that?" "Because you looked at me." The clatter of dishes faded into the background as Maya ate with slow, careful bites, savoring each one like it was sacred. Thomas watched her, the noise of the upscale restaurant falling away. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about mergers or stock projections. He was just present. Between bites, she spoke. "My mom used to work at a bakery," Maya said, chewing thoughtfully. "But she got sick. Then we lost our place. Now we stay at a shelter, but I don't like it there." Thomas swallowed hard. "Why not?" "It smells like wet clothes," she whispered, "and the man in the bed next to us screams in his sleep." He had no words. Just a lump in his throat he couldn't seem to swallow. "Do you go to school?" "Not since Mom got worse. I stay with her so she's not scared." Thomas had built empires. He had private jets, ocean view suites, a closet full of suits worth more than some people's rent. And yet, across from him sat someone who had nothing but more strength than he'd seen in any boardroom. After dinner, he asked if he could take her home. She hesitated, then nodded. When they arrived at the shelter, Maya turned to him. "Thank you for dinner." Thomas looked into her eyes again, those deep, tired eyes. "No," he said softly. "Thank you." That night, Thomas didn't go back to his penthouse. He stayed in his car outside the shelter. Watching. Thinking. Scene 4, the decision, expanded to /250 words, ****. The next morning, Thomas walked into the shelter again, this time not as a silent observer, but with purpose. He found Maya sitting beside her mother, who lay pale and fragile on a worn cot, coughing softly. Thomas gently introduced himself, explaining he had met Maya the night before. Her mother tried to sit up, embarrassment flickering in her eyes. "I'm sorry if she bothered you," she whispered hoarsely. "She didn't," Thomas replied. "She reminded me what matters." Within hours, he had arranged for her to be admitted to a private clinic. Doctors confirmed what he feared, late-stage pneumonia, complicated by malnutrition. Treatment began immediately, and for the first time in weeks, Maya slept in a real bed next to her mom, with warm food and clean sheets. But Thomas wasn't done. He met with his legal team. His accountants. His closest advisors. Then he made the announcement that shocked the media and stunned his board: he was launching the Maya Project, a foundation dedicated to supporting homeless families with emergency housing, medical care, education, and emotional support. "No child should have to ask for leftovers," he said at the press conference, voice steady but emotional. "And no parent should have to choose between getting well and keeping their child safe." He donated $20 million to kick it off and pledged to personally visit every city where his company had offices, to listen, to see. Because now he knew, some problems can't be fixed with money alone. But with heart and action, they can be healed. 1 year later, Thomas stood outside a bright red brick school, holding a small paper bag in one hand and a coffee in the other. It was Maya's first day of school. She came skipping down the path in her clean uniform, hair in neat braids, a backpack slung over her shoulder with her name embroidered on it, Maya J. Her face radiated a joy Thomas hadn't seen the night they met. "Do I look like a real student?" she asked, twirling once. "You look like a future world changer," he smiled. Behind her, Maya's mom stood tall, still thin, but healthier now, her color returned, her eyes bright with pride. She had begun working part-time at a local community center funded by the Maya Project. Across the country, shelters had been upgraded, mobile care units were rolling into underserved areas, and scholarships were being awarded to children just like Maya. Thomas had attended ribbon cuttings, met with single mothers, and listened to stories that reminded him why he started in the first place. But nothing compared to this moment. As the school bell rang, Maya turned to him one last time. "Thank you, Mr. Thomas. For not looking away." He knelt down, his eyes misty. "No, Maya. Thank you for reminding me to see." She waved and ran through the gates, her laughter echoing like music. And as Thomas stood there, watching her disappear into the future, he realized something simple and profound.